posting it.
Yes.
Right? So are you filming the lesson during our class time?
I just hit record.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I will be recording everything that you see from my document camera, and I've got my webcam pointed at my face. I can wave at you, and you will hear me.
Okay.
If you keep talking and asking questions, it'll be likely be picked up in the video as well. So, oh yeah, no, it's a real thing. Here we go. So, actually, because of the plastic screen, the questions you ask likely will not be recorded. Well, we'll see what happens. So, number systems, Unit 1. Here we go. Flipping the page. We're going to do a bunch of review. I'm hoping the review here is truly review. Some of it might be fairly easy for you. I'm hoping lots of it's fairly easy for you. If you have... did I talk to you guys yesterday about colored pens? Okay, fantastic. I always forget some things with some people. Sorry? Staedtler. These guys. Yeah, they're great. Okay, and I've tried a whole bunch of different kinds, and these are my favorites. So, here we go. Integers. What is an integer, ladies and gentlemen? What can you tell me? Maybe if I do this? Yes. What's an integer? No. It is a specific kind of number. It's all positive and negative whats? It's not all positive and negative numbers. 0.5 is not an integer. Yes, the positive and negative whole numbers. And what other number that's not a whole number gets included in the integers? 0. Love it. Fantastic. So this, again, hopefully is review. Adding integers. If the signs are the same when we add the integers, what does it mean? What do I mean by are the signs the same? Yeah. Are both numbers positive? What should you expect? If you're adding two numbers together, and I say this, and you're like, I know how to add numbers together. Yeah, but my Physics 11s today didn't. So, I can't assume anything anymore. Both positive. What should we expect? Sorry? And not only should the answer be positive, how should the answer relate to the numbers we're starting with? Yeah. So the way I like to talk about that is that these numbers should be more positive. Or if they're both negative, if I'm adding together two negative integers, what should those numbers do when we add them together? They get more negative. Is what we typically expect. And if you think about it like that, when you're doing a bunch of this mental math, you should be able to relatively easily see, oh yes, I'm doing this right, or oh no, I'm expecting this, and this is what's happening. I must have made a mistake somewhere. Because a large portion of what you're going to do here for the next probably 2 weeks is a whole bunch of math with no calculator. I'm not going to let you use a calculator. We're going to work those mental math muscles. It was alliteratory. I like that. The mental math muscles, and we'll see how we do. What if those signs are different? We're adding integers and the signs are not the same. So what am I dealing with if the signs are not the same? What do I mean by that? Yeah.
It's vice versa, kind of. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it makes sense to do it. Like if you have.
But what does it mean? What do I mean by that? Sorry, I heard it. Yeah, so I'm adding, I have a positive plus a negative, or I have a negative plus a positive. Math we typically do left to right, which we're going to talk about when we look at BEDMAS. What should I expect to have happen in these cases? You have a thought, Danny?
I I think, like, if you have a positive and you add a negative, it's like subtracting,
It's like subtraction.
like subtracting a positive.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah. So adding a negative is like subtracting a positive number. This is true. What does that do to, how does your answer relate to the number you started with?
Goes left.
It's getting smaller. It's getting going left as it shows up on a number line. It's getting smaller or
More negative.
more negative. If I have a negative number and I add a positive to it,
It's getting more positive.
it's getting more positive. So regardless of what the order here is, what's happening to my solution based on the number that I started with?
It's the opposite. If it's positive, then it ends up being negative.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. In those though,
If this number is bigger than this number, my final answer is still going to be positive, but it will be less positive than the one I started with.
yeah.
If this number is bigger than this number, it'll still be negative. It'll just be less negative. So the way I like to talk about this is if we had to sum up what happens in both of these scenarios in one little sentence, what you end up doing is you end up moving, or you are moving, in the direction of the second number. Right? If the second number is negative, you're going to become more negative. Your answer could be positive, but it's moving in that negative direction. And vice versa, if you're adding a positive number to it, your answer is going to get more positive. Or less negative, depending on where you are on the number line. Are we cool with how we think that through? Do I actually need you guys to add these things together? We can add these together, yes? We know what's going on here? Okay. I mean, is anyone going to admit to not being able to add these numbers together? You know what? Just for fun, let's go right now. I'll give you 30 seconds. I want you to do these ones. Just go so fast. There's 6 questions there. Pound them out. No calculator. In your head. Alone. Go. Okay, so that was 30 seconds. How are we doing? Hands up if you're done these 6. Okay. So, were there some that were slightly more tricky than other ones? That caused you to slow down at all? Okay, which ones? Number 8. We don't like number 8. What's wrong with number 8?
I just don't process them.
You just don't.
I don't process things when I read them the first time.
But what was it about number 8 that was like,
I honestly don't know. I just don't know.
but we still don't like number 8? Okay. Anybody else not like some of these? You can, not liking them doesn't mean you can't do them. Or could you all do them all very easily?
They're pretty much,
They're all relatively similar. So you're telling me 3 plus 5 is the same thing as negative 29 plus 21?
no, but it was easier to do 7 before. That was, well, actually, it's kind of the same thing, just different. They're like 7 is 8, 8 is negative.
They're related, certainly.
They're related. So, yeah,
So you're telling me you looked at 7, you did 7, and then you're like, I can do 8 now.
yeah. It was easier to, yeah.
It was easier to deal with this one.
more obvious after I'd done 7. But I think 7 would have just been the same if I had done 8 first and then 7.
So why do you like 7 more than 8?
Just because it starts with, I don't know. I don't like 7 more than 8. I just did it first.
But I didn't ask you to do it. So why did you went out of your way, Danny, to do more work than I told you to do?
Before I had done that.
Oh, you've done it already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was just easier to do 8, I remember.
Gotcha. After you did 7. So what's 7?
8.
Isn't that convenient? So if 7 is 8, then what's 8? Negative 8. Hey, minus 8 is a semi-acceptable way to say that. It's minus 8, negative 8. Do you guys have techniques for doing stuff like this in your head? The 2 plus 4 and the 3 plus 5? Okay.
Bigger numbers first.
Some of you do the bigger numbers first.
Yeah, because then if you have leftover.
So you did the 50 plus the 30 gives you 80. And then the 4 plus 2 gives you 6. And then 80 and 6 is 86. Okay. The reason I ask is because there's lots of people who don't have these kinds of techniques. And I was, yes?
Oh, I'm just going to say one of the ones I don't like is 11 because it's the only one that decided to put the first number that's negative in brackets. Like all the other ones just negative 2. They were not in brackets. It's correct. It just
The brackets mess you up?
no, it just
see number 2 is
just
different. It's the same question.
It should have just put
Yes, number 2 and number 11 are the same question.
They just put I mean, the brackets still make sense, but it's just like it's the only one that decided to do that.
It's true. And the answer here is? Cool. Okay, so if for whatever reason this is tricky, and I know you guys, lots of you are you're in Predip Math. You're here because this is fairly easy for you. If in the off chance you are struggling with these things, a number line is useful. A number line was already referenced. If you think in terms of a number line, that's certainly not a bad thing. If you're having trouble use a number line, you move to the right for addition, and you move to the left for subtraction, or when you're adding a negative. So if I have something like negative 2 plus 5, I'm going to start here at negative 2. And if I'm adding a positive number, we already said these things are going to we're going to move in the direction of the second number. If this is positive, this thing's going to move more positive. So we're going to end up going that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Oh, I would love nothing more. So I know I'm not necessarily going to make you draw a number line, but thinking in terms of a number line, I mean, eventually I will make you do a number line, but for a different concept. But in terms of these things, thinking in terms of a number line is certainly not a bad thing to do. Whatever the tools are that you use to do your mental math, great. Use them. Hang on to them. So if I had 3 here plus negative 4, I'm going to start here at 3, and because this thing's negative, I'm going to start moving to the left. And I'm going to go to the left 1, 2, 3, 4. And there I am down at negative 1. Relatively easy, yes? Subtracting integers is typically fairly good, except when what happens? The double negatives sometimes screw people up. That's how I got my physics 11s this morning. They were like, yes, negative 5. Sorry, it was negative 3 plus, or negative 3 minus negative 5. And they were like, negative 8. No, it's not. It's 2. And then they felt really silly. But yes, it's when you're subtracting integers, and the things you end up subtracting are negative. Making sure you keep on top of your negative signs, your minus signs, is really, really important. This is a mistake I see students make forever. There are girls that in leadership that come to me for math help, and I taught them in grade 9, which is why they're coming to me for math help. And I'm watching them make the same mistakes in grade 12 that they made in grade 9, and I've been harassing them about for 4 years, and it's all about just spontaneously dropping minus signs. Don't do it. Okay? So you got to make sure and it's really with you guys more than with other students, this shows up. And why with you guys? You guys have something called hotshot syndrome. where lots of this stuff becomes easy for you or is already easy for you, and so you're like, ah, yes, it's easy. I can do it in my head. And then you get overconfident, and then it shoots you in the face. Not literally, because nothing about math is life and death. Yet. Okay? So first you want to get rid of any double negatives, and then you want to rewrite this thing as addition if you end up subtracting a negative. So if there are any double negatives, get rid of them. So if I had 8 minus 3, well, that's 5. 3 minus 8, what's happening there? I mean, it's the same thing as adding a negative. What is this? Negative 5. Yes, this is where I got my students, my physics 11s, over here with number 4. What is that? 3. The temptation might be to say that this is what? Negative 7, and that is where I got my grade 11s. So when you subtract a negative, you're taking away a bad thing. This thing is going to become more positive. If you think about it in that context, negative 7 is obviously wrong. I don't care how you write it. I've had students do this. They're like, oh, I'm minusing a minus, so I'm just going to go like that and make that positive. I don't particularly care how you choose to do it, as long as you're thinking of it in the correct terms. Danny, you had a hand up.
No, you just didn't.
Gotcha. You've done things like this?
Well, I just put the line on the negative sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
So with something like this, you would just do like that?
Yeah.
Works
Something
too.
like that. I can remember.
I mean, it's a shortcut, and as long as you understand why the shortcut works, you can use it. Subtracting a negative is like adding a positive, because you're taking away something negative. But because you guys are pre-diploma, and I'm assuming that it's easy for you, we're going to flip the page and keep going. Let's just go fast, because we can. If you're having trouble visualizing these things, you can use a number line for this too. Except what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up starting at negative 2, and if you're subtracting, well, that's just no different than adding a negative. So you're still going to move this thing to the left. And you're going to go to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here we are at minus 7. I'm hoping this is relatively easy. If this is not and you're like, ah, he's going so fast, please do come tell me later. Say something. Multiplying and dividing integers. We like multiplying and dividing integers. When there are only two numbers, if both signs are the same, the answer is always? Are we cool with that? Do you believe me? I mean, it was not me. Do you believe Danny? She said it. It's basically both sides are the signs are the same. I've got a positive times a positive, that's going to be positive. And if I have a negative times a negative, that thing's going to be positive as well. If the signs are different, the answer is always negative. So if I have a negative times a positive, that's negative. And if I have a positive times a negative, that's negative. It doesn't really matter what the order is. I had one of my pre-diploma 9s once tell me, they're like, yes, if you love to love, then that's a good thing. If you hate to hate, that's also a good thing. We've heard this before? Yeah. Who is it? Is it Lumsden? Ronning. Okay, it was Ronning. And if you, what is this one? If you hate to love, that's a bad thing. And if you love to hate, that's also a bad thing. Hating hate is a positive thing, apparently. I don't know. Miss Ronning has all sorts of techniques for remembering these things. I don't really, whatever. Just, know them. Know the math. Hey, Mr. DeVries. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our department head. This is the king of math at our school, Mr. DeVries. You will all one day have him if you continue in IB.
Oh, this is pre-diploma.
This is pre-diploma.
Nice.
What's up?
Those contests.
The Kaylee, yeah.
Are you interested in it for the whole class?
It was 10s. It was leadership 10s that came and talked to me about it. These guys they know nothing about it.
But do you want to do your class?
I don't have a class of 10s. Oh, you mean do I want these guys to write it?
Yes.
You guys want to write a math contest?
Yes.
Let's do it. Do we have money in the budget for it? Not at all. I mean, do we have?
Wait a second. Does that mean attempt to do everything to the best of your ability? So even though you don't have to study for it, you're going to do the best that you can when you get it, even if it's hard.
There's just no pressure.
Okay, deal.
There's no pressure. This is just about you doing as best as you can on a math contest, not farting this one away. It does cost the school money, and I don't want my students to be the ones that just, absorb money and then don't try on this thing.
Well, that's why I didn't buy it
In the past, I know, and which is totally reasonable. There is no, you're not getting assessed on this. There's no pressure from me. It's do what you can with what's given to you, play with it, have fun with it. Math isn't always about, getting graded on this thing. Sometimes some of us do it just for fun. I'd be interested if these guys are interested in it. What is it, like $5 a test? $150? Do we have the budget? Do you want to spend the money in the budget for?
Happy to do it if we got kids that are interested.
So this is.
It has to happen on like 2 weeks from now.
Okay, I'll talk to these guys. I'll let you know at the end of the day.
Okay, I got to order by Friday.
Yeah, I'll let you know today.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Hey, no worries, man. Okay, so. Mr. DeVries does bring up a good point. It's not about, you cannot study for some, well, I guess maybe you could look at old ones. But I'll show you one today. I'll show you one right now. Let's pause this. It's all learning. Everything is learning. Okay, back to this. Let's finish this up. You know what? I'm just going to get you guys to... the bell's going to go here in less than... Oh, the bell should go right now, actually, but the people in the office... Don't pack up, because I'm going to tell you what I want you to do. I want you to do these the questions up to this line right there. That line right there. No, it's not. You can do it in 10 minutes. I want you to try these. No calculator. May the force be with y'all. If you're struggling already, please come talk to me.